All right, y'all, what's going on? It's Combo Breaker 99 back on the Fight Front show once again. Hope everybody had a good holiday. I've been chilling out, doing some holiday things, so that don't mean I didn't get a chance to check out all the fights this past weekend. I've been going in with people about these different fights going on, Jillian White, the Charlos, all of that. But yeah, man, I'm finally back to speak on this Jermell Charlo Tony Harrison fight. Now, I know a lot of people that get emotional and they tend to kind of get lost in their feelings about certain fights and certain fighters and how they call it. But me, I feel like people, they show a dislike for a fighter, it kind of makes them hard. It kind of makes it, it kind of not makes them hard, but it kind of makes it hard for them to call it even. They kind of let their emotions get away from calling it down the middle. Now, man, I know. Look, I'm not the biggest Charlo fan, but I respect what they do. And the result of this fight, I feel like it was a robbery. I feel like straight up and down it was a robbery. Now, did Charlo look good? No, he didn't look his best. Did he look flat at times? Yeah, he did. But I still feel like he was doing enough to win. He didn't win impressively, but I felt like he did win. Tony Harrison, I can't take away any credit from him. He did make Charlo look the way he looked because of his style. Styles make fights. And Tony Harrison, he's a tall, slim, skillful, slick boxer. He has been stopped in the past, but, the way he was fighting tonight looked like he really was trying to win. And he did learn from his mistakes in the past. As well as, like I said, his style, he just knows Charlo's style. And from Charlo, like, he doesn't really have any one thing that stands out. He was kind of able to capitalize off that. And even in my prediction, I said that if Charlo lets a boxer move too much, especially a guy like this who does more movement to me and more angles than or just as much as like somebody like Austin Trout, he'll wind up not looking impressive. Charlo will. He'll wind up not looking impressive, like I said, like that the Trout fight, which to me seemed like even in that fight he was kind of going straight for a KO, and he was kind of telegraphing a lot of his work, much like in this fight. But just looking back real quick, first half of the fight for me was mostly Charlo. Again, it wasn't impressive work. I do feel like he dictated the pace well, and he landed more punches. I know they weren't the cleanest punches, whereas Harrison, whenever he would land, he landed the more accurate shots. But to me, he was doing this too far in between rounds. Like, he would do it like maybe in like the last 30 seconds or somewhere in the intervals of a round, like maybe in the first minute of the round. He would do it just once or twice in that round, but then Charlo would go back to dictating the pace and landing his shots. But in round 5, he did get a good reaction out of Charlo when he did land a good right hand. But Charlo, he came right back with the right hand to the body and left upstairs. Like, those were some of the moments, like even in that 5th round, like where it was more competitive and where Harrison was giving him trouble. But most of the work from both guys to me was never really damaging or really dominating. But because they both kept fighting at a distance where neither would really fully let go, especially Charlo, even after landing several big right hands in that first half, he did wobble Harrison a few times. He was getting that reaction where Harrison looked like he would be about to go, but Charlo never really jumped on him. And that just kind of made more rounds to risk for him. So overall, I did have it like 4-2 for Charlo in that first half. But again, man, it's just like, I think that I don't know if Harrison really did have the power to get the respect out of Charlo. Was he just being too cautious or too tight? But I thought there were moments when he could have just jumped on him and been the puncher in this fight and just overall overwhelmed Harrison. But going into the second half, I think Harrison did turn up the boxing a little bit more. I think he boxed on the back foot in 2 ways in this fight. There's 2 different ways of boxing on the back foot. I think a lot of people confuse just being on the back foot with running. But one way is to kind of get your shots off effectively, kind of get your opponent, to step in the shots and counter. And sometimes when people just go on that back foot, they just do it to get away. And in this fight, Harrison, he was kind of doing it both ways. Sometimes whenever he was trying to avoid that power, he would just kind of run. But there were sometimes he was really setting traps with Charlo. And when he was mostly moving away, that was when Charlo was still landing the most shots in this fight. He was being more active and the more, in more seconds and more minutes of the round. But still, Charlo, to me, he really wasn't able to get the full heavy shots to keep Harrison from moving. You know, he wasn't getting that full effect of his shots off. I think Charlo wasn't cutting the ring off very smart this time either. You know, I know he was walking him down, but again, he really wasn't setting that right hand up to land more flush. And by doing that, Tony Harrison was going to his left. A lot of the times when Harrison was going to his left, he was walking right into that shot, and Charlo didn't cut the ring off enough to go ahead and land that flush shot and get him to walk right into it. You know, every time Harrison would cut that angle at the left, the shot was there. But again, you know, Charlo kept touching him, but he would never get that full impact on him. Up to the 12th round, Harrison, you know, he was game all the way, man. But, you know, he got caught a few times, even again in the last round. But Charlo, I think, you know, he gets too wound up and wasn't able to home in and close the show, man. So, second half of the fight, again, I give it 4-2 for Charlo because I felt like Charlo was still doing enough to keep his belt. You know, again, Harrison was posing those threats, but he wasn't really fully posing a competitive game, or he was competitive, but he wasn't posing like a dominating threat to Charlo. Like, maybe if he would have sat down on his punches more, maybe if he would have been more active when he boxed, I could have said, hey, he dominated Charlo, you know, with his boxing. But it was just too far in between. You know, I think Harrison, like I said, had his moments. The guy is slick. He's a veteran. Again, definitely learned from his mistakes in the past, but I don't think he did enough effective work to win this fight convincingly on 3 cards. That's what was crazy. Like, I don't know what the judges saw as just like a unanimous decision. Like, split maybe, a draw, okay, you know, but all 3, I didn't see it that way, man. He just was he was effective enough to make Charlo not look good, but Harrison wasn't countering enough consistently or jabbing enough to take the fight or fully expose Charlo. Like, I never really felt like Charlo was exposing this fight. I needed to see more from him. I never seen enough of 1 or 2 things from him for me to say he's being exposed tonight. He was one-dimensional because he looked like he did in that last fight. You know, some guys just have trouble with boxers. You know, Shane Mosley had trouble with boxers. So, you know, like boxers that move or boxers that's going to, you know, stay on the outside or keep that distance well. So I think Charlo just has more work to do. You know, like I said in the past, I never really saw one thing that stands out about him. I think they're just mostly known as fighters, you know, not full-on boxers, but just fighters, and they still got a lot of work to do, man. Overall, like I said, like, I don't know if Charlo really wants to go to that trouble of getting the fight overturned or turned to a no contest, but to me, I still feel like he won, but I think Harrison owes him the rematch, and I think the rematch has to happen next fight immediately. You know, can't go on to the Hurd fight yet, man. We need this fight, man. But yeah, let me know what you guys think on this one, man. Was it robbery to you, or you know, like I said, if you don't like Charlo or not, just call it down the middle, man. Just look at what you saw that night. You know, I watched the Russian version, so I didn't listen to the commentary. You know, I watched the Russian version of the fight, so the Russian commentary, you know, I don't understand that, so I just watched that, and that wasn't really, you know, making my decision. I made my decision on who I felt won, and I felt it was 8-4 Charlo. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm actually going to be going more in depth on it on the Jab podcast. About to record that episode now with my partner Boxing P. Make sure y'all subscribe to the Jab Effect YouTube channel as well as Combo Breaker 99. And again, man, hope y'all had a good holiday. I'm coming right back with another video. But yeah, make sure y'all subscribe. Peace.